Welcome back. In the previous class, we have done recursion. We have seen the introduction to recursion, and we have also seen how using recursion you can make programs even simpler. And other way is how recursion is related with functions and how it is important. Today, we'll do pointers in C++. So I'm going to tell you what are pointers and why do we need in C++ and what are the important points that you have to remember when you're using pointers in a program. So when we talk about pointers in C++, the only thing that you have to know is that they are simply variables. But there is some difference. Pointers are variables which store memory address of other variables. That means if I have, let's say, a variable x and I have a pointer y, address of this variable will be stored by this pointer. That is the job of pointer. Since pointer is also storing something, whether it's a value or an address, it is also a variable. But it is not storing something of its own. It is storing the memory address of other variables. So that can be a formal definition of pointers. Now, before that, you have to know about what is address and how does it work. So when we talk about address in C++, the best way to understand is you have to know the and sign. You have learned this as an operator in the previous class, but right now you can understand this that, for example, if I have a variable, let's say int a equal to 1, I know the value of this variable, that is 1, but I don't know the address. So how will I find the address? I'll write and a. So this will give me the address or the memory address of this particular variable and what is the address of it. So you can do is you can write this line in a program int a, and if you print the and of a, it will give you the memory location. It will be some hexadecimal numbers, random numbers. It can be anything like probably 0x0118, something like that. It will be an hexadecimal random number, but that will give you the address. So if somebody asks you that how to find the address of a variable, you just use that particular sign. Now here you have to remember one thing. Since it is an int data type, I have told you this in the previous lessons as well, that it will be differ by 4 bytes. Since int take 4 bytes of memory. For example, if the very first address, let's say I have two variables here, int a is equal to 2 is also there, sorry, b is equal to 2 is also there, then the first address of a would be, let's say it's 0x011. So for the next address would be 0x015 because we have to go differ by 4s. Plus 4 will happen, so it will be 5. So this way it will differ by 4 depending on which data type you are using. So if you're using float, it will be 4 again. If you're using double, it will go plus 8. Now the big question is, since we're doing pointers, how do we declare a pointer? So that we have to understand. So when it comes to declaration of pointer, if I have to declare a pointer, the best way to do it is we write int star x. So this is how we declare. Here, this star is only which makes this variable as a pointer. Now there are one more way which you will see generally. We can write this same way as int star and then give a space and write x. Both are same way. Whichever you prefer, you can use. I do prefer to put the star with the x. Some people prefer put the star with the data type. It doesn't make much of a difference. Both are same on. One thing you have to remember is the pointer over here, it behaves same as a variable. For example, if I have to declare a pointer in a normal variable, I can write like this. Let's say int x, int star b, where b is a pointer, comma p. Now over here, if you see, the first variable is a pointer, second is a normal variable. So we can write directly like this also. There is no difference in how you're declaring it. Just you have to give the start of which variable you want to make as a pointer. Let's understand that how pointers actually gives the address of other variables. So if I write here, let's say int star a comma b. Now here I have a pointer variable and I have a normal variable. If I write over here in the next line, b is equal to, let's say 7. B is equal to 7. So I have hard coding a value to b. So b is 7. Fine. Next, what I will write is if I write a and b. Now this is important. Here what happened, whatever the address of b is there, it will be stored in the a. You cannot do this with a normal variable. That's why we're using it as a pointer. Since b is a pointer variable, I can store the address of b onto a. And that was the definition that we have did about pointers, that it stores the memory location or the memory address of other variables. So b is another variable, a is a pointer. I'm using the and sign and a is storing the address of b over here. Now if I need the value, I have to use the star. That means I do have the address of b, but if I write here star a and I print this thing, this will give me the value of b, which is 7. So it is not like I only have the address. Like it is just like this, that you can understand this, that if you have an address of a person, you can go to that address and you can meet that person, right? So if the address, you have the address, so it is not difficult for us to get the value for it because we know where it is stored. I just have to go inside it and I have to fetch the value. How will I go inside it? I have to use the star. So if I print using the star, I will get the value inside it, whatever value it is. Now over here, if you see, whenever we use a star with a pointer, we call it as a word. There's a word, we call it as a dereference operator. The star which is there, we call it as a dereference operator. What does it do is it basically points to the value. Since I already have the address, I need the value. So this star or the dereference operator helps us to point to the value which is there on that address, and it will fetch it out if I print it. Now to understand all these concepts, we have to understand with the program. So let me show you a program of how pointer works. So over here I have a program, and it's a very simple program of pointer. Here if you see, I have a variable which is storing a value 5, fine, the int data type. Then I have a pointer over here. Next line, what I'm doing is I am taking the address of var, that is wherever 5 is stored, and I'm pushing it in the pointer variable. Then I'm printing the variable. So this I know it will print as 5, simple. Address of the variable, so it will be any hexadecimal number. We're not sure about it. When we'll run the code, we'll see what random hexadecimal number comes. That is the memory location of this particular variable, which is where it is stored. Then I'm printing out simply the pointer variable. After that, I'm printing out the value which is inside the address. So this will give me the address. This will also give me the address. Both same, because I have already stored the address of this in the pointer variable before. Then using the star pointer, I'm taking out the content from the address. So what will happen is it should print me 5, random hexadecimal, and then 5 again. So let's run the code and see. So if you see over here 5, and this is a random hexadecimal address, this is a random hexadecimal address as well, and this is 5. As you can see, both the addresses same because I have already given the address of whatever normal variable I had to the pointer. The pointer already knows it, but since I'm printing it, both the address will be same only because they are both in the same location. So this way a pointer can store a memory location of other variable and even fetch out the value from it. So this is extremely important over here. So that is the only thing you have to know currently as a beginner about pointers. If you have any doubt regarding this, you can put down in the comment section.